in a bubble, gave us nothing but trouble. You don't have to be sorry. We both know how this story goes.
Take a look at us,
naked in the morning light.
brush away the dust, and see that we have never been right. We have never been right.
We've been stuck in our bubble, gave us nothing but trouble. You don't have to be sorry. We both know how this story goes. Stuck in a bubble.
Hello, everybody out there in Reddit land. Welcome to another Reddit Eurovision Radio. We're going to have half an hour of requests and fun and games and bits of music before we head into the top of the hour with Reddit Talk Radio, Eurovision Talk Radio, or Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. There we go. We're just making it up as we go along. Let's head over to Sweden's Melody Festival for a bit.
I am not made for working overtime, and you know, don't even like the 9 to 5. I wish all those lazy days were every day, and you know, wouldn't want it any other way. Although some might say I throw life away, I just ain't got time to save. I might be insane and I may complain, don't believe no pain, no gain. I'm busy doing nothing at all. I'm stressing over nothing, don't bother to call. I'm busy doing nothing at all. Don't bother to call, I'm doing nothing at all. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I sleep. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I dream. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I sleep. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I dream. I am always almost there in 5, and it's always the night before deadlines. You know, don't bother calling before noon, even when you say late, it's still too soon. Although some might say I throw life away, I just ain't got time to save. I might be insane and I may complain, don't believe no pain, no gain. I'm busy doing nothing at all. I'm stressing over nothing. Busy doing nothing at all. Don't bother to call, I'm doing nothing at all. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I sleep. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I dream. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I sleep. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I dream. You may not approve of my lifestyle, and while you're working I'll be living life. So you can call me lazy if you like. Don't care, this is the story of my life. Cause I'm busy doing nothing at all. I'm stressing over nothing, don't bother to call. I'm busy doing nothing at all. Don't bother to call, I'm doing nothing at all. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I sleep. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I dream. Don't wanna work, don't wanna make money while I sleep. Don't wanna work, don't wanna work.
Natten känns mörk trots månen. Gatan är tom och kall. Jag har vandrat i timmar. Jag tänker på vad som hänt oss. Orden du sa som var så sant. Att min kärlek har svalnat. Vi vet om att något måste hända. Om vi ska hitta tillbaks igen. I do, nu står jag redo här framför dig. Och inser att jag älskar dig. I do, det gör mig lycklig. I do, jag känslan den är så explosiv. Jag måste ha dig i mitt liv. I do, du gör mig lycklig. I vardagen är lätt att glömma. Känslan som finns blir slentrian. Man tar det för givet, livet. Vi vet om att något måste hända. Om vi ska hitta tillbaks igen. I do, nu står jag redo här framför dig. Och inser att jag älskar dig. I do, du gör mig lycklig. I do, jag känslan den är så explosiv. Jag måste ha dig i mitt liv. I do, du gör mig lycklig. Det faller bara för dig. Bara för dig. Vi vet om att något måste hända. Om vi ska hitta tillbaks igen. I do, nu står jag redo här framför dig. Och inser att jag älskar dig. I do, du gör mig lycklig. I do, jag känslan den är så explosiv. Jag måste ha dig i mitt liv. I do, du gör mig lycklig. Och inser att jag älskar dig. I do, du gör mig lycklig.
Arvin Gara there, making their way not back to Eurovision from Melody Festival. Was that last year? 2019 season? Oh, I don't know. My brain escapes me just now. Right, we're going to keep things happy and bouncy for a little bit this evening as we head up to the top of the hour on Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. Tonight's subject, it's actually a pretty wide-ranging one. We can go anywhere you want to go with this one. What are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021? Let's get your thinking caps on that one. You'll be able to call into the show. But until then, let's just keep smiles. Let's just keep bouncing. Let's head over from Sweden to Norway. Because let's face it, Norway's got the better national final anyway, doesn't it? Ida Maria!
You can be the nurse and I can be the doctor. All night long like a Scandinavian. You can be the pool and I can be the diver. All night long. Ooh, you're so cute, my baby. Ooh, and his skinny jeans and my Scandinavian hipster boy. Ooh, you look so good, baby, baby. Ooh, ooh, just like you should, baby, baby. You and I can wake up all of the neighborhood. Ow, 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 ow. and fall. I'll take it all, 'cause I'm Scandinavian, y'all. Swim in the ocean, feel the emotion, it's fucking freezing. Swim in the ocean, feel the emotion, it's fucking freezing. 'Cause you're in Scandinavia, biatch. Yeah, yeah. Can you make love like a Scandinavian? Can you make love like a Scandinavian? All night long, like a Scandinavian. Can you make love like a Scandinavian? Can you make love like a Scandinavian? All night long, like a Scandinavian. I can be the train and you can be the farmer. I can be the fool and you can be the diver. I can be the hostage, you can be my guider. I can be the Volvo, you can be the driver. All night long, yeah. I run all night long, like Scandinavia.
Oh, never change, Eda, never change. Stick around, you're listening to Reddit Eurovision Radio. It's music just now, it's talk at the top of the hour, and then, well, we'll just see how the time goes after that one. What are your hopes for Eurovision 2021? Let us know, we'll get you on. Take yourself over to the Discord server and we will sort you out, get you into the main room, and you can talk to me live from 8 p.m. on your hopes for the next year. Keep the bops going.
Can't you stay? Stay with me into the night. Stay, I need you close. You can go back when the sun rises again. Just stay tonight, just stay.
Have you seen my spirit lost in the night? The violent nightshade, they took away my light. They call us nothing, my name is nothing. Come see me, please see me, 'cause I've been running with the demons now. They'll see my fear, they say there's nothing, nothing here.
I see your spirit in the sky.
When all the lights are dancing,
I hear you calling me at night.
never wind is blowing.
I can see your spirit in the sky.
When all the lights are dancing,
I'll follow you until the daylight shines away.
I need a hero, I need my light. Shining like waves will break away the night. I call it freedom, our name is freedom. Come find me, please find me, 'cause I am dancing with the fairies now. They will sing our name, I've got my light here, shining here.
I hear you calling me at night.
Never wind is blowing.
I can see your spirit in the sky.
When all the lights are dancing,
I hear you calling me at night.
never wind is blowing.
I can see your spirit in the sky.
When all the lights are dancing,
I see your spirit in the sky.
all the lights are dancing.
저의 딴초가
It's Reddit Eurovision Radio. Talk Radio coming up at the top of the hour. What are your hopes for Eurovision in 2021? Well, obviously more bangers from Moldova. That goes without saying, doesn't it? Get the request in on the Discords. Get yourself ready to talk as well. Just ping Nitro and Rue on the Discord. We'll get you on the air with your thoughts.
You got secrets to unfold. You got stories never told.
Yeah, we're getting close. Top of the hour is 8 minutes away, where we'll be talking about your hopes for 2021 and the Eurovision Song Contest with myself, Ewan Spence from BST Insight, and our help from the team on Reddit Eurovision's Discord server. Just ping Nitro and Rue on the Discord server. We will sort you out, get you into the green room, and get you on air. Shall we keep the pace up nice and high? If I don't hear you saying na 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 down the internet, I will be very, very displeased. Come on, Daddy Serhat. Make us smile.
You look sad and lonely. Is something wrong tonight? Why this rush to run away? Things will be alright. Just be strong and look at me. Hear me when I say, who cares that you're out of love? It happens every day. All your dreams are gone away, no matter what you do. Love all colors of this life and to yourself be true. Don't forget my number, call me anytime. I will always tell you life is beautiful and fine. Say na na na, on the doctors or the place, say na na na. There's a light for you, the place it's na na na. Say na na na. Say na na na, you're not alone, so stand up, na na na. Be a hero, be the rainbow, and sing na na na. Say na na na. All your dreams have gone away, no matter what you do. Love all colors of this life and to yourself be true. Don't forget my number, call me anytime. I will always tell you life is beautiful and fine. Say na na na, and the light is all the way. Say na na na, there's a light for you that waits. It's na na na. Say na na na, say na na na. You're not alone, so stand up, na na na. Be a hero, be the rainbow, and sing na na na. Say na na na. If you're feeling lonely, we can take it slowly. Think I'm going crazy. Yes, I'm going crazy. We can all go crazy. Say na na na, and the light is always say na na na. There's a light for you that waits. It's na na na. Say na na na, say na na na. You're not alone, so stand up, na na na. Be a hero, be the rainbow, and sing na na na. Say na na na, say na na na.
Hey, it's Serhat there, Daddy Serhat, qualifying to everybody's delight with saying na na na. There you go there. Right then, so this is the music bit. We got one more to go. I've dropped the Armenian one that I always like, so you can all have a guess which one is coming up absolutely next. But after that, we will be heading to the top of the hour and Reddit's Eurovision Talk Radio question of the week. Well, I'd say the fortnight because we haven't been out. And it's a simple one, this one, and you can go anywhere you like with it. I know where I want to go with it. But we are asking, quite simply, what are your hopes for Eurovision 2021? Now, that just might be the contest, that itself, the 3 hours in the grand final. It might be the whole lead up, thinking caps on. I want to take your calls. I want you to tell me what your hopes are. If you're on the Discord server, then you want to ping Nitro and Rue. Make sure you got your microphone ready to go, and they will get you into our green room, the digital green room, and we'll get you on the air. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, we got quite a few people coming in there. Hello and welcome. You could jump over to Discord, or if you just type up your comments, I'll get them in the chat as well, and we can do everything through that way. Right then, so yes, it's going to be a good hour. Looking forward to it. We're going to run these ones monthly after this one, but for now, it is our final banger alert. We're going to go back to 1982. Those of the regulars know what's coming up. Those of you who are new, the best banger to never win Eurovision. That's worth a debate in itself. We'll keep that one for June, but for now, it's Bardo's One Step Further. Come on, you all knew it was coming, didn't you? It's every week.
Taken one step further and I wouldn't care. You could have turned around and hit me and I wouldn't have cared. All this time I didn't get anywhere. I could have taken one step further and I would have been there.
Ain't got the courage to speak when you sometimes feel.
Well, I can't seem to think of the things that a girl likes to hear. When I saw you again, you were all alone. So I walked up beside you. But I was too shy to even ask you home. I don't know if I tried to. I could have taken one step further and I would have been there. You could have turned around and hit me and I wouldn't have cared. All this time I didn't get anywhere. I could have taken one step further and I would have been there. If you read my letters on my telegrams, you'd have got around to asking me just who I am. 'Cause you know I'm going dancing, I'm going dancing, I'm going dancing. One step further and I would have been there. You could have turned around and hit me and I wouldn't have cared. All this time I didn't get anywhere. I could have taken one step further and I would have been one step further and I would have been there. You could have turned around and hit me and I wouldn't have cared. All this time I didn't get anywhere. One step further and I would have been there. You could have turned around and hit me and I wouldn't have cared. All this time I didn't get anywhere. I could have taken one step further and I would have been. I could have taken one step further. One step.
Oh, you're all loving that in the room. Drum intro at the start, some getting thumbs up. For me, it's that little, I could have taken one step further. It goes up and down and over the top. That's the one for me. That's where it's all going to be happening. Well, I've got the alarm that says I need to take my medication now. So I'll leave you with the theme tune and we'll be back. And we were doing Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio, your hopes for to the 2021 contest. And the 2 weeks and the year are all coming up. But for now, we'll just say goodbye with a bit of help from Rollo and Kate. This was the music part of Reddit Eurovision Radio tonight. We'll have more on that at 9 p.m. UK time. So thanks very much. I'm Ewan Spence, co-hosting, producing, putting things together with the SEInside.com. Hello, Reddit. This is Ewan Spence and Reddit's Eurovision Talk Radio. Let's do the Song Contest chats. It's an hour of talk on your favourite song contest. Support! No, it's the Eurovision Song Contest. I'm Ewan Spence. We got a great question for you this evening, which we can all talk about. Symbols at the end of the theme tune there. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. If you're listening live, welcome to the Discord server or to the YouTube stream as well. It's your show as well as mine, so you can get online and talk with me if you're on Discord. You just need to ping our admins, that's Rue and Nitro in the producer's chair this evening, and they will get you into our digital green room, and then you can talk to me and tell me what your hopes are for the Eurovision Song Contest 2021. If you're over on the YouTube channel, you could have a play and try and get onto Discord, and we've got someone in there already singing Support to Me Too. Thank you very much. That looks like it's Phil. Yeah, if you just leave your comments up if you're on the live stream on YouTube, and we will do the interaction by text. We're going to have music breaks going on throughout the night as well, so you can pop in a couple of requests, although we'll be doing the request half hour at the end of the show at 9 p.m. UK time. What else in terms of housekeeping? Don't forget we've got up on Mixcloud, so you can listen again to our previous talk shows. That's mixcloud.com/Reddit Eurovision, all one word. Right then, what are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest 2021? I mean, it is the sort of question that you kind of have to ask in the week after any Eurovision Song Contest. You look back in previous years and you'd be sitting there thinking, well, what's Sweden going to do next? Or where are we going to go in Kiev? Or it's like, well, it's Portugal. It has to be Lisbon and it has to be the Altice Arena. There's just nowhere else suitable for it. So let's get the hotels booked. This year, of course, after 2020 and the cancellation of Rotterdam 2020, thanks to the coronavirus pandemic, it's a little bit more of a strange one in terms of your hopes, because the most overriding hope for me, there's twofold. The first one is I just like everybody to be safe. It's not a brilliant time in the world at the moment. So everybody, stay safe, wash your hands, take care, watch your social distancing. If you feel the need to drive to Durham, and that's all we're going to do in terms of that for this evening. And the second one is, there's going to be a Eurovision Song Contest next year. I am sure, because in terms of brand and marketing, you can't have a gap of 3 years between contests. So there will be a song contest next year. Whether that will be in the Ahoy Theatre, whether that will be with the crowds of 15,000, 20,000 that we were expecting in there, and all the carnival atmosphere around that remains to be seen. And we're not going to know that for some time. It has to be said, because science has to do its thing, and we don't know what's going to happen with the wider world. So my first hope is that we all remember that there will be a song contest, but it might not be the shape of the song contest that we're used to at this moment in time. But I think there will be one. I know there will be one. I'm sure there will be one. Well, for a start, we've already got 18 performers that have already signed up and said, yep, we're coming back again. We're going to give that one a go. And they are coming back, even though they didn't actually go on stage. They entered the Eurovision Song Contest 2020. The entries were accepted by the EBU. So as far as I'm concerned, in all your official charts and everything, they entered the contest. When it comes around to ESC 250 at the end of the year, I think Euphoria finally has a song that can challenge it. Think About Things against Euphoria is going to be the head-to-head of December the 31st, 2020, when it comes round to it. I will set that up right now. But in terms of hopes of the contest, look, the main one for me is music. I absolutely love Eurovision for the music. Not just the 26 that make it through to Saturday night, not just the 40-odd that make it to the grand final, or the 800 that make it onto the televised rounds. It's all of it. Every single bit of music. When you add up all the submissions that go to national broadcasters in an average year, you end up with, give or take, 10,000 songs every single year. Now, we don't hear all of them as fans. We hear a fair amount of them, and we're certainly pretty familiar with all the ones that make it to the national finals, which are competitive. Internal selections, maybe less so. But all that music coming out, and all of that ignoring the algorithms and Spotify trying to get you to listen to something else that sounds a bit like what you've already listened to. YouTube just giving you two tunes and then making sure it throws you a Katy Perry song in there. No. The great thing about Eurovision for me, and the thing that I hope happens next year, is it continues to happen, is you still get all those songs submitted. 10,000 songs, 10,000 new tracks, not filtered by some computer program, not sort of sculpted to sound a bit like something that I've already heard. 10,000 tracks that are all emotional and meaningful and different, and I don't care about the genres. I can quite happily go from swing jazz over to bebop, heavy metal, through a little bit of basic pop, and then a little bit of trash punk, and I'm smashing genres together because I have no idea what trash punk would actually sound like. So A, if that is an actual genre, can somebody give me a YouTube link? And B, if it's not a genre, I really think it should be. More trash punky Eurovision. There we go. There's a hope for 2021. How about that one? What about you? What are your hopes for the song contest in 2021? What's going to be the one that gets your attention next year? What are you hoping for? Let me know. You can either do that in the comments over on YouTube on our live stream that's running through there, or you can give us a ping on the Discord channel. Chat to Nitro or Rue. They will get you into our digital green room, and we will get you on the air, and you can tell me and you can tell all of Reddit what you're hoping for the song contest next year. Ping Nitro or ping Rue, and while we do that, everybody remember, if love was a crime.
You and I, we collide like the stars on a summer night. We can shine forever. And you and I, we live. What we feel is what is right. We can run like never. If love was a crime, then we would be criminals, locked up for life. But I'll do the time. If love was a crime, then we would work miracles high above the ground. They will never break us down. They will never break us down. They will never break us down. Never mind, wrong or right. Our love ain't got no pride, so we change for better. Unafraid, never fade. When it's dark, we illuminate. And we rise together. If love was a crime, then we would be criminals, locked up for life. But I'll do the time. If love was a crime, then we would work miracles high above the ground. They will never break us down. They will never break us down. They will never break us down. Together we're untouchable. You and me against the world. Together we're invincible. They will never break us down. They will never break us down. They will never break us down. Together we're untouchable. You and me against the world. Together we're invincible. Together we're untouchable. You and me against the world. Together we're invincible. They will never break us down.
Polyganova there, and if love was a crime. I suspect that given the banger status, everybody will go, that one's far better than Nat and Nat, but I personally prefer the German. And then the entry that went to Germany. But there we go. It doesn't matter. Music is music, and we love them all. And Polly's always a great sport at the song contest as well. Oh, Bulgaria's already declared for Victoria, but maybe she could do with a backing singer next year. You're listening to Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. I'm Ewan Spence, and we're here with a simple question that has a huge amount of scope that we can all stay and enjoy. What are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest 2021? Ping Nitro, Ping Roo over on Discord, and we'll get you into the digital green room and you can tell me what you think. One person who has done that, who's hopefully at the end of the line just now, is David. Hello, David. This is Edinburgh calling. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. This
Oh.
is Manila calling. It's actually 3:11 a.m. here, so
Indeed, you've
that's why I chose to be
stayed
the
up
first one in
again
the
for the
queue.
show. Thanks very much for that, David. So, what are your hopes for the song contest next year?
Well, there's definitely a lot I have in mind for next year. One of them definitely has to be the songs. The songs are like one of the most important aspects in Eurovision, in the Eurovision Song Contest. So I really have really high hopes for the upcoming songs next year. Hopefully with the artists returning. So usually I really have like big expectations for them, especially now that there's like a year-long period, or a bit less than that, but still pretty long for them to work on their song for next year, especially those returning artists. I have really high hopes for them. Maybe some that have had not so good songs in my opinion. I really do hope that they become much better next year. Hopefully they do a big improvement. And as for those who were really, really massive fan favorites for me, I really hope that they can send a song that is just as good as what they sent this year, or perhaps even better. And hopefully for the other artists that haven't been confirmed to return, hopefully they can return too. Let's say Ben Dolic or James Newman.
Which
for
artist
example.
are you most looking forward to returning? I mean, there's 18, I think, that have said that they would like to come back, and the broadcaster said, sure, here's the ticket. Who are you most looking forward to, David?
From those that are actually returning?
Yes.
There's quite a lot. There's quite a lot of them that I can think of, but definitely one of them would be John's Tears from Switzerland.
Yeah.
He is actually. Oh wait, yeah. Also, John's Tears. He was one of the best singers of 2020, especially with that impressive song of his, Répondez-moi, and especially the really high note in the end. I think it was an F5 or an F sharp 5, the note that he hit.
Yeah, there's
And
one that
another
just went
one is
all the way up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then other than that, I'm really excited about the composer herself returning, Samantha Tina from Latvia.
Well, I think it's only fair. How many she tried to go? What, 2010, 2011, 2015, 2016, 2019, 2020? I mean, this is like a six run through Supernova de Zemlja, the Latvian national final system. And it was almost like, I think at one point the head of delegation before the 16th said, well, it's quite expensive to run a national final again, and there's not a lot of money, but the fact that they told her live and they recorded that moment, it was just so joyous. You could just see her going, my dream is still on. And yeah, I hope she pairs up with Aminata again, because the two of them had such it was a stylish number, and I think it really, there was no middle ground on that. You either loved it or you hated it. And the great thing is, if you hate a song at Eurovision, you cannot vote against it. You can only vote love. And it was going to be a great fan favorite, I think, for the rest of the time.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of which, I think I remember Samantha Tina has released a new single. And of course, it's still same pairing, her. And I think if I remember correctly, she's also partnered with Aminata on this song. Wait, hold on. It's I Got the Power, if you don't know.
I haven't heard it yet, but we certainly know she's got the power.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely true on that one. Here's a question for you. I mean, both of those artists that you've mentioned there, John's Tears and Samantha Tina, they both had songs that were very stylish. Do you think they should try and replicate the same style of song, or do you think they should do just, if something different comes along, they should go with something different?
Well, I have mixed feelings about it. Maybe, let's say John's Tears. I'm still thinking, like, maybe he could do some kind of ballad, or maybe what if he does something more like one of his older songs, Babi. for example, or maybe for Samantha, I still want her to keep her style, kind of similar to the one that she had for Still Breathing and her most recent single, I Got the Power. I definitely want her to keep a style similar to that.
Yeah, there's a couple of choices that you can have in there. For me, she's had some really good ones if you look back at her national final ones. I've got one queued up here. Is it? I'm just going to run into that one, actually. David, so
Got you.
do you remember Stay from Samantha Tina?
That one I probably don't remember.
Oh, in that case, we're going to give you a nice little gentle Latvian lullaby to help you get to sleep. There was like 3 o'clock in the morning over there with you just now.
Yeah, it's 3:17.
3:17. Ah, it's great to speak to you, David. Thanks for calling in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
And yeah,
Thank you for letting me join along.
Oh, not a problem, David.
Can't
That's
wait
it.
for the next one.
We're all about the community here. That's what we're doing. Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio is about all of us sharing all our opinions, the love of the song contest. And today it's also about sharing our hopes and dreams for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021. But now David needs a lullaby. Really, if you'd said he needed a hero, we had one of them lined up for Samantha as well. But right now, it's Stay.
Now I stand up on the road, feeling snowflakes on my head. They are falling slowly down on the edge. There is no more much to say in such a dark and lonely day. Only one word is coming out. Stay. I am still all alone, feeling snowflakes on my head. They are falling slowly down on the edge. I was completely wrong. That's not the final goal. Things are changeable like the lyrics of the song.
Samantha Tina there from 2014's Latvian National Final. And have a little think through who actually managed to go instead of Samantha that year. Now imagine Samantha's face on the stage when the TV camera wasn't on her. Yep. I think I still have a picture there because myself, Ben, and Alison from ESC and so were in the balcony. Charlene was along with us as well. We took a little trip up to Ventspils to watch Latvia select their song for Europe. Dons was there as well. I think he all been out to a little slice of bakery going on. More cakes at Eurovision. Maybe we'll have that in 2021. Who knows? Eurovision Song Contest will be back next year. So it feels like a James Bond film at the moment. Eurovision will be back as the credits rolled up. And that means we're all going to have our own hopes and fears for that contest coming up, that season coming up as well. Some of you have noted in the Discord chat room, there is going to be a national final season, but it's going to be a little bit quieter. Because we already have so many artists already chosen. Some of those countries might decide to do a song for Roxanne, for example. Roxanne puts on a red light. Roxanne just sings maybe in another Romanian single artist multi-song national final. We might see some of them. And of course, we still have the national finals going on in the Nordic countries. So we're expecting Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Estonia all to have their own national finals, and you've got to think Iceland's going to have one as well in some form or another. Anyway, what are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest 2021? That's a question that I'm asking, and you can have a word with Rue and Nitro and get yourself into the digital green room. Hopefully they're going to open up the doors on that one as well, and we can just bring in there we go. We should have, if all goes well, Ghost at the end of the line. Hello, Ghost. This is Edinburgh calling. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, Ghost. Welcome back to the show. How have you been?
I'm doing pretty well. I guess the quarantine is still on here, but I've been getting used to it. It was all good.
How did you get on last weekend?
For last weekend, just watched Shine the Light and all those things.
Yeah. So, what about 2021? We've done our looking back. Let's look forward, because for me, that's the main thing about 2021 is, yes, acknowledge what's happened this year. Yep, we weren't at the Ahoy Theatre in 2020, but we do need to look forward, acknowledge it, and move on. So, what are your hopes for the 2021 Eurovision then, Ghost?
So, I have a bunch of things that want to happen, but there's two really big ones that I want to see in 2021. Yep. First one is Little Big coming back for Russia. Just because, not only did Russia, ditch their usual formula of peace ballads or, Kirkorov Schlagers, but they actually, ended up picking, one of my favorite Russian bands. And it would be, devastating if Little Big doesn't go next year just because, their music style and they themselves are just so fun. So, I really need Russia to, the one time that I want them to actually pick a returning artist, they better pick Little Big to go again.
Did you see all the controversy that came up around the video with them and Amsterdam Pride?
That was, I think, Pride in Brussels, and yeah, I did. Which, as far as I know, it's inexcusable what Ilya said. Also, I think he was trying to mock Russian homophobes, but at the same time, obviously, he never should have said that, and people have every right to be upset by his words.
Do you think that would make it harder for them and for an entire year having the pressure on them and, of course, not being able to respond because of the laws in Russia?
That I'm unsure about. I think that they can respond, I guess, if they weren't, trying to become representatives for next year again. So I'm not entirely sure how they would go about.
Yeah, the issue you have is there is an anti-homophobia law in Russia, which means you can't promote.
Yeah.
And, and to them to say that video was humorous, many people would regard that then as saying, well, you're kind of breaking the Russian law there, and that's not a good place to be in. For me, Uno was a great song, but the question mark hanging over the artists and the representation that they represent in that video, whether that's what they actually think or not, that's left a little bit of cloud over Uno for me, I have to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, everyone there's it's inexcusable what they did, and if people are upset, then it is definitely their right to be upset and not just have Uno ruined for them. So it does make sense.
Yeah, you said there was two. What was the other one?
The other one is I need, I know that Roxanne is coming back for Romania, but I need her to go with a deep house bop. Like Romania as a country, like if you remember how their music scene was in like the early 2010s,
Yeah.
it was just like huge like deep house tracks that were like played all over Europe. And Romania never actually took advantage of that and never went to Eurovision with it. But like now that they have an actual deep house artist, like for Roxanne, I love like all of her non-Eurovision stuff because like a lot of deep house music, which I'm a huge fan of, and like I feel like it would be a really wasted opportunity if Romania goes another ballad and not like a fun deep house track that like people can dance to.
Right, hand on heart, I don't know any deep house. It's slightly outside of my rock-infused bass guitar favourite. So which one should I be listening to after the show to get the best sound of Roxanne?
Just basically, if you go on her Spotify page, basically anything that isn't the songs that like she presented at the national final, pretty much everything outside of that is like amazing, in my opinion.
Did you feel a little bit cheated then when you heard her songs in the national final and went, none of these are what you were expecting?
I mean, Cherry Red was something that was close to like what I wanted to see from Romania, but like obviously when you remember how the national final went, then yeah. But she did say that she was like more comfortable with going with alcohol use, so I guess I can respect that. But also like, I guess I'm still standing Cherry Red kind of.
I do find that. I find that I end up listening to the national final songs just a little bit more. In previous years, obviously, with the ESC Insight team, we talk daily backstage in the 2 weeks run up to the contest, and there's always a feeling that the songs kind of burn out in my head. It's like I've picked over them so much that there's nothing left to talk about, and there's no actual fun left in the music. Yet you had to be a pile of tracks from the national finals that year, and I've not analysed them as much, and there's still more emotion left in them for me. And I wonder if the 2020 songs are actually going to benefit from that, because we didn't pick over them and discuss them to within an inch of their staging and a semitone of the high note. They're just now there as good songs.
True. But like, yeah, I guess. Like I've been listening to a lot of national final songs myself lately. I'm still obsessed with Andromeda and Cicciolina and a bunch of like other national final favorites.
Yeah, I think Finland, it's an interesting one because Cicciolina would have been then lost to Eurovision as well. Now it's kind of just you should have selected that one. I'm be interested in seeing if Erika Vickman does come back on that one as well. Finland, one of the countries that didn't give an automatic pass through to 2021 for their artist. Instead, we're going to be getting another version of UMK out of them as well. So we're looking forward to that one as well. Ghost, it's been really good to have you on the chat once more. Hope everything is staying safe with you over there.
Right. Thank you so much. Hope you're staying safe as well.
Yep, we're all doing our best. And everybody, wash your hands, stay safe as well. That's Ghost there here on Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. I'm Ewan Spence asking you the question of what are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021? Let's just have a little dive into the chat rooms and see how we're all going there. We've got a request in the YouTube channel for a song for Roxette, please. I do hope... I miss Roxette from Sweden. But if you mean Roxanne, then yeah, we can up for that one as well. Right then, what else have we got in the chat room? I'm looking forward to Bulgaria winning. It would be a dream, says Nitro. Hotel prices are so affordable in Sofia. Well, I already know exactly the hotel I want to stay in. If I remember correctly, it's called the Magic Castle. It's run by a former magician. It's about 11 rooms in it, so we can probably fill it all up with Eurovision fans. And there's props all around the hotel as well. They've got really good Wi-Fi. I stayed there when they had Junior Eurovision in Sofia a couple of years back on that one. And they always play Frank Sinatra over in the breakfast room. So you'd come down in the morning and you'd just have this big band sound going through. Whether it'll still be Frank Sinatra, I don't know. Maybe they'll have moved on to Seth MacFarlane now on that one. But we'll all find out there. Hopes for the contest from Carolina for next year's contest. Hoping to see countries like Iceland, San Marino and Bulgaria win it for the first time. San Marino is always a fun one. Although to be fair, if they do win, I think the chances are that we would be looking at hosting in Bologna or in Turin, which is relatively close to San Marino. And of course, there would be pictures of that big hill. And no doubt there would be discussions between, who gets to host and who gets to go in the green room. You've got to assume that it's Valentina and Serhat for hosting, haven't you? That'd be nice. But that's for 2022, though. Iceland hosting would also be a fun one as well. I did manage to find a hotel room for next year. It was about £2,000. But alas, I had to cancel that last weekend with just a little bit of regret on that one. Bulgaria winning, yeah. San Marino winning. Iceland winning. It would be great to have a new country winning as well, I think. It's always great because then you can show that anybody can win the song contest. It doesn't matter how big. It all comes down to just 3 minutes on the stage in the evening. And even if your country beforehand has never finished higher than 5th place, you can just pop up, you can do some jazz, and then we're all off to Portugal. Why not? Ghost is asking, can Victoria send something a slightly bit more up-tempo? I mean, that's the one for me, I think, actually. And not just done to Victoria. They should all send a song that reflects them in May 2021. There's no point doing a rehash of the song this year for a start. The comparisons in the fan community would be absolutely huge. What you actually want is a song that represents the artist 1 year on. Artists are going to mature, they're going to change, they have more influences. So the hope for me is that artists capture themselves next year rather than try and retread this year. And as part of that, I want the community to also realise that artists move on, artists mature. You're not going to get exactly the same song from a returning artist that you would have got in 2020. We're not going to get another Grow from Jean McCree. We're going to get something else from him. And all of that. What else do we have? Nitro, I'd love it if the UK could host. Very deliberately phrased. Yes, that's a nicely carefully phrased there on that one. I'm not sure who would have to win and then decline and then decide that the BBC was the next best country to do the hosting on that one. We will find out. Anyway, we'll head back on. We're doing the question of what are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021. Pink Nitro and Roo over on the Discord server will get you into the green room. But for now, the song that did it for Switzerland last year. There's something shot them all the way up the table, and I think maybe gave the broadcast a little tiny hope that, you know what, we can win this thing. We can do well. They tried to send it with Jon Steers. He's going to come back again and try it last year, which means Luca Hani, still one of the best Swiss entries over the last decade. It's Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. I'm Ewan Spence.
I noticed her when she arrived. Kinda lady that mama like, but mama she ain't here tonight. Getting rowdy, rowdy. When she poured out the little spice, got the whole place on a vibe. Monday night and a Friday night. Getting rowdy, rowdy. She let her body talk. She make the party stop. She getting naughty. Yeah. Dropping it down. When she go low, she goes solo, she goes solo. Oh, she know, she got me dirty dancing. When she go low, she goes solo, she goes solo. Oh, she know, she got me dirty dancing, dirty dancing. Dirty dancing. Dirty dancing. Oh, she lighting the fire now, going wild like an animal. All ain't gonna sweat it out, getting rowdy, rowdy. Turning hands and turning up, breaking necks, she breaking cups. Look at her, can't get enough, getting rowdy, rowdy. She let her body talk, she make the party stop. She getting naughty, yeah. Dropping it down. When she go low, she goes solo, she goes solo. Oh, she know, she got me dirty dancing. When she go low, she goes solo, she goes solo. Oh, she know, she got me dirty dancing, dirty dancing. Dirty dancing. go. Everyone go. She got us dirty dancing. When she go low, when she go low, she goes so low, she goes so low. Oh, she know, oh, she know, she got me dirty dancing. She got me dirty dancing, dirty dancing. Oh, she got me dirty dancing. She got me dirty dancing. When she go low, she goes so low, she goes so low. Oh, she know, oh, she know, she got me dirty dancing, dirty dancing.
Switzerland's Luca Hani is there singing for Switzerland, a song that was quite definitely not called Dirty Dancing, as everybody noted in the Discord chat. That would be a bit close to the film, wouldn't it? There we are, finishing fourth, both in the semi-final and the grand final. Ooh, trivia question. Who else has done that? Finished in the same place in the grand final as they did in the semi-final. I can think of one off the top of my head, but if you can think of any more without Googling it or Binging it. Don't Google it and everybody goes to Bing. Yeah, that works. I would think of that one, as well as thinking of today's question. What are your hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021? You just ping 941 Roo, get yourself into the green room, and you can tell me. One other person who's done that tonight is Bashi, who should be winning at the other end of the line. Hello, Bashi. This is Edinburgh calling. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
Oh, welcome along there, Bashi. We've got to talk in public now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Bashi and I had a call in the middle of the week. We are planning things.
We sure are.
But we're not going to tell anybody about those. But we're talking about our hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest 2021, not season 3 of Every Song a Story.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting topic. I'm really excited about 2021, for a lot of the reasons that everyone else has talked about so far. I think that, as everyone else has sort of hit on, the songs are the most important part of what make the Eurovision Song Contest. But what I'm really excited about for 2021 as well is the technology and how this extra year actually sort of builds on the opportunities that they had in front of them for 2020. I think that we're already seeing a lot of stuff with that has leaked so far for what 2020 would have offered for augmented reality. And I think that with some of these technologies like augmented reality and extended reality, 2021 is actually giving that extra year that some of this tech needs to get a little bit further into the future, a little bit more realistic and a little bit more artistically available to the delegations, so that we might be seeing a number of performances that really completely break the mold for what Eurovision in the future is going to look like.
I think two things I want to bring up on that one. The first one is, of course, Australia's released their what looks to be the previs video that they would have sent to the heads of delegation meeting. It showed up in quite a lot of places in the shows last weekend that were in place of the contest. And they showed that sort of chains appearing with Montaigne songs and wires coming up. So not only were we just getting sort of basic overlays coming up into the picture, we were seeing storytelling elements and strong moving graphics happening in camera as well. And I wonder if they were the only act that were doing that, but I suspect not.
Yeah, I was really excited to see that as well, and I think that it shows that giving an extra year, especially now that other delegations may have seen that, and they might start reaching back out to the host broadcaster and start some conversations about what's possible. I think we're going to see some performances that really push the limits in a positive way, and I think that external influence, like Katy Perry's recent extended reality
I've got that written down as my next point.
We're thinking about the same things. I mean, I think that that would have inspired stuff, but I also think that we would have seen some really interesting stuff on the other scale too. I think this extra year is going to buy time for some delegations to see that extended reality technology can also be overused, and you can have too many pieces and too many elements. And I would be really excited to see what a country like Bulgaria, who's sending Victoria again next year, might come back with, where they look at how can you use extended reality or augmented reality to suspend their artist in an ethereal world that isn't full of lots of pieces and lots of effects and lots of energy like everyone else is thinking about, but how can you actually use this extra year to quiet down some ideas, really zero in on something very specific and careful, and see what that allows as an artistic possibility.
I think one of the things that, Bulgaria have already actually done something similar. If you think back to Beautiful Mess and Christian Kostov, they were one of the countries that really heavily used the in-camera effects that year in Kiev to bring in the sort of lightning bolts and the overlays on Christian's hands. So they have got some experience in running effects like that. And of course, if you go back a little bit further, with Gravity from Ukraine, they were planning to do much more in camera, but the Swedish producers were like, oh, it's a bit too much. We don't want to do that in the end. Have you not got a giant instead that could just lift you onto the stage? So it's been dabbled with in the past. But actually, we should just, for those who aren't completely familiar with Katy Perry's little trick on the American Idol finale, maybe you could sort of set the scene for us there.
Yeah, she recently did an amazing performance just in a very small studio in Los Angeles, and not a lot of photos have leaked from it so far, but it was just really a great sort of half box. They used two corners of a room and the floor, and it was partially in camera, computer generated effects, but it was also partially just the LED screens, containing the screens and the computer automatically adjusting those backgrounds. And I think that's where it would have really gotten interesting in Eurovision is, do you build a small setup like that and cart it out onto the stage when certain performers need it, in the same way that Sweden and Germany carted out LED elements in 2018 for their performance? Or do you restrict them and you tell delegations that if they can't do it entirely with the stage as it exists, then it's just not possible yet. I think that Sweden 2013 showed that the host broadcasters can be smart about these things. Sometimes the delegations can have really big, bold ideas, but the host broadcaster still has to think what's realistic. But I think that this extra year between 2020 and 2021 is going to give the host broadcaster a little bit more time to get all of their pieces together, to really understand what the delegations want to do with it, and make sure that they can say, hopefully, yes to as many requests as possible.
We don't get to say yes. They're not allowed to bring that song back again. You know what I've got written down here? I've got two words written down here. One of them is chameleon. Those who saw the dress rehearsals from Malta last year will know exactly where I'm going with that one. They started to do that effect and then abandoned it during the rehearsals to go for what we saw on the semi-finals and the grand final. But also, Sweden actually, you picked that up with Benjamin Ingrosso, that it just looked too good. You didn't see the audience. You didn't feel like you were in a live gig. You could have just basically played the video for Dance You Off from Melody Festival, and it would have looked exactly the same. I think the danger with AR going full augmented reality, like we saw with Katy Perry, is it's not live anymore. It's not in a venue. You lose that sort of spark of you are there. We've mentioned Lucky Day a fair bit in these chat shows from Dore Dos. But, Dore Dos was so impressive because it was physical, because it was real. If you'd done a similar thing with an AR wall and duplicates of them popping up in the background from CG elements, I don't think it would have been as impressive.
I agree. I think that it's a really important balance to strike. I think that you have this really important point that Eurovision is a live show, and it's a show with an audience, and hopefully next year there will be an audience back in the arena. But either way, it's a show, it's an experiential show that people are attending and participating with and interacting. And I think that with any performance that does AR, what they really need to do is find and take this year to think about where they can break it. I think that it wasn't true AR, but last year, which was just with the simple 2D overlays on Australia 2019, what they weren't able to do was find the right moment to give away the trick and let everyone in on how they did it in the performance as a way to recontextualize it as a real live performance. I think that what they need to do is look at something like the VMAs 2017 when they shot it all in infrared, and you couldn't really tell, was this a music video, is this a live thing? You had a bit of a live feel to it, and then at a certain point in the song, they gave away the trick. They cut wide. You could see all the technology on stage. You could see the camera operators with the infrared cameras. And I think that with Eurovision, they'd have to find a similar thing with some of these performances. You could go full on Katy Perry in the beginning, and then cut away and see all this mess on stage and see the break the fourth wall of it, just to remind people this is a live show.
Even something like Heroes, you had some really good camera shots coming from the top. So you got in the whole audience, you got in the spin as you pushed into Mons actually on the stage, and you could, he made the visual with the camera. Doridos, of course, you had the stage pans, and you saw a little bit of the side, but they were smart. After the semi-finals releasing that, here's what it looks like from the back, and like the buzz was, they're actually doing it, and just all sorts of fun and games going through on that one. Bashi, it's great to talk to you again here on Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
We've got time for probably one more call, or two really, really short ones. If you want to come and tell us what your hopes are for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021. If you are, get yourself on the Discord channel and give Rue or Nitro a nudge, and we'll get you into the not at all scary and not actually green digital green room, and you can get on the show and see what's going on. What should we do? Should we go nice and slow and gentle, or shall we keep the tempo up? We're going to keep the tempo up, I think. Shall we go back to 2013? We've already talked briefly about that on the show in Malmo. Here's something you could relate
Στεγαν τα ουισκάκια, μπόμπα ήταν τα παγάκια και το σκάφος έχει ρόδες τελικά.
Αλκοτεστ και τροχονόμος, δεν είναι για μας ο δρόμος. Κάτι φορά μες στη θάλασσα αρχικά.
Now, there's a 7-minute album edit of that out there. It's easily enough to find on YouTube if you're looking for that one. Cosa Mostra with Alcohol is Free. And even with augmented reality, you could not get as fine a moustache as you could get an Agathon. Yes, I Covidis. Now, could you get as fine a pronunciation as that as well? Right then, hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest 2021 that it runs on time, much as this show will hopefully do as well. But we have one more caller in the room who called in to let us know. Thank you. Should be on the line now. Hello, thank you. This is Edinburgh calling. Can you hear me?
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. That sounds nice and chirpy. Has Greece got you bopping?
It certainly has.
It certainly has. Right then, hopes for 2021. What have you got for me?
All right. Well, sorry for stealing Bashi's thunder a bit, but my hope for 2021 was that is that they lean into a more sort of artsy and cinematic visual philosophy for filming the contest itself, because throughout the years so far, going from the more kitschy years of 2007 and 2008. Throughout the contest, we've seen that it's developed into a more serious platform for up-and-coming artists across the continent to establish their careers. And so, as such, I think that it would be the perfect opportunity for the visual narrative of the contest itself to start to develop and become slightly more serious and less like the more kitschy reputation that it has in some particular countries, cough, cough, UK. Yeah.
See, okay, right. So let's work backward on that one. That sort of kitschy vision that you have, let's face it, that is portrayed in the media. You do have that in the UK and Ireland to a certain extent as well. And that's going to take up, let's be fair, that takes up about 10% of the viewing figures once you have the UK, Ireland on there as well. But I genuinely don't think that that's the sort of issue. The public can look at Eurovision and they do see the fun numbers, but then when you see the serious ones, when you saw the reaction, if you go back to somewhere like Salvador, the reaction that you got from the British public on Twitter and such, like just going, that's the one. I think they appreciate that there's a whole wide range of genres on that one, but I do completely hear you on the cinematic stuff. And I think it comes down to something that I think quite strongly about, which is people will vote for songs that make them feel comfortable. And when Eurovision was just the people stand on stage in front of a microphone and sing, which if you've been following Eurovision again, even just a couple of years ago, back at the start of the decade, it was just stand there and sing. But nowadays, you've got things that look cinematic. You've got multiple camera angles. You've got much more artistic shots. They're looking more like MTV YouTube videos, because that's how most people consume nowadays. They consume it on YouTube, not on shellac. Times move on. Kids, look up shellac. They're very, very fragile for music. But you're right, the cinematic idea, but you still got to hold on to the heart of the song. We'll go back to Ben Ewan and Grosso there. It was incredibly cinematic, but it didn't have any heart.
For sure. I think that Melody Festival in 2020 was quite a good proof of concept of the idea. Fantastic directing from Robin Hoflander. And it proved that there is a space in the contest for a more serious visual narrative. It doesn't always have to be a bajillion moving lights, everywhere, and a massive in-your-face strobing sort of fanfare. But even developing from Europe Shine a Light, where Duncan Lawrence's performance of someone else, I think it was, even just looking at that, I think that, sure, while it ended up just being slapping on some black bars and playing a bit with focus at the start, I think that it proves that there is a demand for some of the songs where they can start to look seriously into, not necessarily going full, art house cinema, but, something more akin to, I don't know, say a concert film meeting a music video, where they can really lean into that more nuanced feel to it, and they can start to experiment more with things like camera angles and start to really develop the narrative of the contest.
And those sort of things are going to be picked up by film students, and people at home are just going to go, quite like that. It looks a bit Game of Thronesy. The one that sprung to my mind is actually Birds from Anouk, which was very, very subtle. It wasn't huge, great camera suites, but they'd switched the lenses out. They'd used a really short focus lens and a lovely effect of in the background. Those days you need great big movie cameras. Now you can do it with half an iPhone. But your cinematic touch doesn't necessarily mean Michael Bay. and it can
Exactly,
be be Michael Gondry as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
For
that's
sure.
that's a deep cut right there, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not like Eurovision doesn't have the budget for it. It's, by far and away one of the largest productions in Europe. I mean, even something like using some ARRIs, some proper film cameras, it's more than doable these days to have that really cinematic look to it and make it feel like this prestigious event rather than something more garish than we currently see at the moment.
Indeed. Yeah. Thank you. It's great to have you. Cinematics, hopes for 2021. I love the sound of that.
Sure.
We're going to be back on the Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio in a month. Make sure you're listening. Yep. Give us another call back then. He's went. Second I asked him to call back, they go away again. Bless. I'm not that scary, am I? Anyway, yes, that is it. We're going to have a little bit of music out and then stay with us for the Annie Nightingale All Request 25 minutes coming up from the top of the hour. Hopes for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021. Finky's looking for something cinematic. Bashy's looking for something all full power of technology. Ghost is looking for some deep house tracks. And I've now got a list of things to check up on Spotify. And we're looking for our favourite artists. David, well, Samantha T and Neon's Tears. We've probably all got our own in the 18 that are coming back to the Eurovision Song Contest in 2021. Well, what shall we play to take us to the top of the hour? I know. Let's play one of the artists I really wanted to come to Eurovision, but completely got it wrong. Emma Marone, not quite managing to replicate the power that she would bring to San Remo. But also, let's also take one of my favourite Eurovision songs of all time as well. And the Dipinto de Blue, mash them together, and you get something that goes a little bit like this.
Penso che un sogno così non ritorni mai più. Mi dipingevo le mani e la faccia di blu. Poi d'improvviso venivo dal vento rapito e incominciavo a volare nel cielo infinito. Svaniscono perché quando tramonta la luna li porta con sé. Ma io continuo a sognare negli occhi tuoi belli, che sono blu come un cielo trapunto di stelle.
Conte.
Conte, indeed. Emma were on there with her cover of Nelda Plinto de Blue, only finishing third. But there again, Jessica Garlick only finished third as well. I love that song as well. I've been Ewan Spence. You've been listening to Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio. We are into the Eurovision off-season. We just need to check with the producers and admins, but there we go. It's going to be a surprise then. But we're going to go back in a month's time, I think. We're going to look to pop up in the last Sunday, the last Sunday, May, so probably going to be 4 weeks' time. And another Sunday evening where we will talk more about the Eurovision Song Contest. We had the hopes and dreams for the coming contest, but we'll think of something else over the summer months. Keep watching keep reading Reddit, keep listening. We'll have mixcloud.com/Reddit Eurovision for a recap and listen again on this one. Stay with us. We're going to have a little bit more requests if you're listening live. But for now, thanks very much for listening. Ta-ra for now. Geekers. You've been listening to Reddit Eurovision Talk Radio, hosted by Ewan Spence, produced by escinsight.com with help from the reddit.com/r/Eurovision team.
The sky's red tonight. We're on the edge tonight. No shooting star to guide us. You think you got the best of me. Think you've had the last laugh. Bet you think that everything good is gone. Think you left me broken down. Think that I'll come running back. Maybe you don't know me 'cause you're dead. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. So come and face me now. Here on the stage tonight. Let's leave the past behind us. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What doesn't kill you makes a fighter. Footsteps even lighter. Doesn't mean I'm over 'cause you're gone. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, stronger. Just me, myself, and I. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. How many times do we have to fight? How many times do we get it right between us? Only teardrops, only teardrops. Only teardrops. How many times can we win? How many times can we break the rules between us? Only teardrops. How many times do we have to fight? How many times do we get it right between us? Only teardrops.
It's Sunday. It's just after 8 o'clock. I miss Annie Nightingale as well. Put your requests in. We got about 15-20 minutes of fun and games from the world of the Eurovision Song
I've never
Contest.
seen a diamond in the flesh.
And a little bit to the side as well.
I cut my
It's not always Eurovision. Keep some Lord in.
in the movie.
Not Lordy, Lord.
I'm not proud of my address.
Lord versus Lord. Yeah, I need to do that.
In a torn up town, no postcode envy. But every song's like gold teeth, grey goose dripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, trash in the hotel room. We don't care.
We're driving Cadillacs in our dreams, but everybody's like crystal, Maybach, diamonds on your timepiece, jet planes, islands, tigers on a gold leash. We don't care. We aren't caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royal. It's a run in our blood. That kind of luck's just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.
Listen to the sound of thunder, rolling in the soul down under. Far beneath the skin, it rumbles. Step to the step of the drum that rolls inside. Be you enemy or lover, we are put here to discover the heart that beats within each other. We're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up tonight. And if we die tomorrow, what do we have to show for the wicked ways down below? The rhythm inside is telling us we can fly tomorrow on the beautiful wind that blows on a cosmic chart. Love the tide. I'm gonna get that rhythm back.
We count our dollars on the train to the party, and everyone who knows us knows that we're fine with this. We didn't come for money, but every song's like gold teeth, gray goose dripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, trash in the hotel room. We don't care. We're driving Cadillacs in our dreams, but everybody's like crystal, Maybach, diamonds on your timepiece, jet planes, islands, tigers on a gold leash. We don't care. We aren't caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royal. It's a run in our blood. That kind of luck's just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.
Be you enemy or brother, we were put here to discover the heart that beats within each other. We're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up tonight. And if we die tomorrow, what do we have to show for the wicked ways down below? The rhythm inside is telling us we can fly tomorrow on the beautiful wind that blows on a cosmic chart. Love the tide. I'm gonna get that rhythm back. We're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up tonight. We're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up tonight. We're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up, we're gonna wrap up tonight. And if we die tomorrow, what do we have to show for the wicked ways down below? The rhythm inside is telling us we can fly tomorrow on the beautiful wind that blows on a cosmic chart. Love the tide.
Let me live that fantasy.
It's Ruth Lorenzo.
Yo quiero verlo, poder pintar de color
smile. Open up, you never know what you will find. You never know what awaits inside. So live like you never stop. Take this chance and give it everything you've got. Come on and let the rhythm drop. We're dancing in the Keep on like it's never ending. Keep on till the light up there. Keep on dancing in Aunque llueva y nos mojemos, no pararemos de bailar. Keep on dancing
There we are. A little bit of remixing on the delights of Ruth Lorenzo and Dancing in the Rain back from 2014. Right then, listen very carefully. I'm going to make you enjoy a song that scored no point. I'm going to make you think, wow, that's a bop and I never knew it was. And you only need to change one thing. What happens if you play Black Smoke slightly faster? If you play instead of an album at 33 RPM, what if you play it at 45? Did Germany just play their song at the wrong speed? I think they did.
When you look at me, you know you're hard to read, because the face I see is not the one I know. And when you call me baby, what's that supposed to mean? I don't know who you are, how long have we pretend? See the change, I know we both don't have the heart to say. Can't return to what we were, we'll never be the same. 'Cause you said you never let me go, and I said I can't, but now we know that it's too hot to say 3 words, too hot to make it work. But there's nothing left to talk about, 'cause you know the flame is running out. Too hot, so left to burn, do you know? We're only left with smoke. Black smoke, we're only left with smoke. Black smoke. I try to tell myself that it's all in my head, but the truth remains we're just too far apart. You know we're fooling ourselves for so long, 'cause we're fighting for something that we don't want. No, just leave it now and walk away. See the change, I know we both don't have the heart to say. Can't return to what we were, we'll never be the same. 'Cause you said you never let me go, and I said I can't, but now we know that it's too hot to say 3 words, too hot to make it work. But there's nothing left to talk about, 'cause you know the flame is running out. Too hot, so left to burn, do you know? We're only left with smoke. Too hot to say 3 words. Black smoke. Too hot to make it work. Left with smoke. Too hot to say 3 words. Black smoke. Too hot to make it work. 'Cause you said you never let me go. Oh, no. Yeah, you said you never let me go. Yeah. You said you never let me go, and I said I can't, but now we know
And from appearing out of